Hey, bitches, let's do a chunky ombre. I wanted to wait until I epoxied this before posting the video, but no, we're going to go in and I'm going to run my mouth and explain it the whole time. So let's get into it. So yeah, this first coat, this base, I did not like, so we're just going to go right over that, and we're going to use two chunky glitters, which you saw at the beginning of this video. We're going to be using PDB's Midnight in the multi-size mix. That one also comes in a fine and ultra fine, and the purple is Alexandrite. We are using Adhesive Apothecary's regular, the OG glitter glue for this, because I love the way the glitter lays flat with this adhesive. So once we get our tumbler fully coated, I want a pretty thick coat. Another reason I am using this for my chunkies is because it's a thinner consistency. 2 coats of glitter, that's the norm. But with chunkies, you don't want your cup all lumpy. So I wanted a thinner adhesive to use when applying my chunkies. I am going to attach my how to ombre tutorial. But let's get in on how to ombre. This is sped up, so this wasn't a super long tutorial. So I always go with my darkest color first, and this is Midnight by PDB, the multi-size mix. I do my band around the top rim, and then I start tilting my tumbler, all while hitting that bottom line of the band. I hope it makes sense. Your ombre is all about the flick of your wrist and angles. If you have your cup drop down, it's going to cascade down. If you have it tilted, let's say just a little bit like a quarter, it won't drip down so fast. Drip, I don't know where drip came from, but we're not editing it out because this is real. Once I get my darkest color laid, I then go in with my second color and doing the same thing. I create a band and I drop my tumbler the other way and let it cascade down. Right here, what you see me doing is I am blending. You won't see me tilt a lot, but you will see me go back and forth with both of my glitter colors to make sure that those two colors blend well together. I don't want a harsh line. I want it to look like it's blended. But ombres take lots of practice. I learn new things each and every time still to this day. But we're going to take that purple Alexandrite and we are going to apply that chunky glitter to the handle. That is where you definitely want to make sure your glitter is flat before you go into epoxying. So here I am taking my parchment paper and I am patting and rubbing and patting and rubbing. I do not want any of my glitter poking up. I want it completely flat. This is going to save you time. And it is going to save you on epoxy. Pat this shit until you can't pat it no more. You want all of it flat. I did rub accidentally in a couple spots, so I just went back and hit it with the glitter. And that's what we're doing right here on the Midnight. I did a little rub. I got a little excited. But now we're going to stick this to the side. We are going to let this dry. I let this dry overnight, but depending on your environment, this took it can take anywhere from 2 to 4 hours. Just know it depends on your dry time of the adhesive you're using and how warm your environment is. But look at that chunky. It's pretty freaking flat. And now we are going to get into what keeps it flat, and that is a good quality sealer. So I use Adhesive Apothecary's Binding Potion. This is the best sealer I have used. I have tried them all. I'm telling you, I have. But before we get to sealing, we are going to get our handy dandy chip brush and we are going to dry brush the hell out of this tumbler. Well, Elle, why did you waste all your time patting it? Because I still wanted it flat, but the sealer is going to help flatten it even more. Once it is dry, you want to make sure the reason for dry brushing is so you don't have any contamination when you're going to seal, which I mean colors. The purple going all over the black going all the purple. You want your glitter to stay in its place. So keep dry brushing until no more glitter falls off that tumbler. This is an important step, believe it or not. Now it is time to seal. This is Adhesive Apothecary's Binding Potion. I am going to load it on. It doesn't matter how thick, doesn't matter how thin of a coat. It goes on creamy, but it will dry clear. As I'm applying, it also flattens the glitter. What are the benefits of sealing your glitter? Less epoxy, less sanding, because let's say you don't seal. You go into one coat of epoxy, it's still lumpy, it's wavy. You go into a second coat of epoxy and it's still lumpy and you're feeling the glitter. Where you go to sand, you can literally sand the color out of that glitter. Then you're going to have silver spots. It's just no fun. All that work for what? If you do not have a liquid water-based sealer like I am using, you can use Rust-Oleum 2-Time. It is a spray paint. Let that dry completely. Know your environment. And they have a few other sealers out there, but this one is the best I've ever used. Like I said, I know when it's still wet because of the creamy white finish, but when it is completely dry, it's clear. Your glitter still sparkles, no cloudiness. It really reduces the micro bubbles, and I have saved so much money on my epoxy because I'm using less epoxy each coat, because my sealer is leaving a barrier between the glitter and the epoxy. That way my epoxy is not sinking into my glitter. It'll look really gross the first coat if you do not seal it. You'll have dry spots and a really rough surface. With this sealer, you won't have that. It's going to lay completely on top. And like I said, the sealer is literally a barrier between the epoxy coats. So I always seal my glitter, then I epoxy. When I go to add vinyl or my decals, after I apply that, I seal again before I epoxy. So I'm going to speed up the rest of this, and then at the end we will talk about epoxy. Alright, while I'm sealing the handle, because this is almost over, let's talk epoxy. Once this is dry, this is a 32 ounce handled tumbler. I will mix up 30 ml of epoxy. I will apply that coat, and then once that coat's dry, if it's a regular, it's usually 8 to 12 hours. If it's a fast set, it's 2 to 3, 2 to 4, whatever you use. I will go directly in with the second coat before going into any decaling or any vinyl. This is it. After sealing, I let it dry for 2 to 4 hours. I am doing a how I epoxy tutorial up next, so stay tuned for that. I'll be posting that in a few days. I can't wait to see y'all using chunky mixes, and thanks again for all the likes, subscribes, and shares. Let's get it.